Hello everyone and welcome to this new video. Today I will tell you about a piece of news that caused a stir in the United States and in the world, the conviction of Donald Trump for assault and defamation against Jean Carroll, a writer who accused him of raping her in a dressing room of a store of Manhattan in the 90s. What exactly happened? How did the process go? What are the reactions of the protagonists and other people involved? And what are the possible consequences of this verdict? These are some of the questions I will try to answer in this video, based on the most reliable and up-to-date sources. Before starting, I remind you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos. Also, if you like this video, leave a like and a comment with your thoughts. Ready? Let's go. A federal jury has found former President Donald Trump liable for battery and defamation in the lawsuit brought by writer Jean Carroll, who says he raped her in a Manhattan department store in the mid-1990s. The 9 jurors, who deliberated for barely 3 hours before reaching their unanimous conclusion, did not find that Trump raped Carroll, but they agreed that he sexually abused her and that he defamed her when he refuted her story. Carroll was awarded $5 million in total damages for both claims. In an email to NPR, a lawyer representing Trump said the former president would appeal the decision. Over the course of 2 weeks in a federal courtroom in New York City, jurors heard Carroll's story of a flirty-turned-violent encounter with Trump at the Bergdorf Goodman department store in the mid-1990s, at a time when her career as a writer and advice columnist was at its peak. Carroll testified the incident left her unable to form romantic relationships and that her career suffered after she made her allegation public. In 2019, she sued Trump for defamation over his refutation of her claim. That lawsuit has been hung up in federal court over the question of whether Trump could be sued for a statement he made while president. She filed a second lawsuit in 2022, this time adding a battery claim, after the state of New York temporarily removed the statute of limitations for sexual assault survivors. According to reports, Trump did not appear in court. He had consistently denied Carroll's claims and continued to do so on Tuesday after the jury's decision. He reportedly wrote on Truth Social that he had absolutely no idea who this woman was and that the verdict was a disgrace. He also called it a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time. After the verdict was read, Carroll left the courthouse accompanied by her lawyer Robert Kaplan, who said, "We're very happy." Carroll did not speak to reporters, but she smiled as she departed. As a civil trial, the burden of proof for the battery claim was lower than in a criminal proceeding. Rather than be certain beyond a reasonable doubt, as criminal trials require, Carroll needed to prove her case by a preponderance of the evidence. In other words, the jurors needed only to believe Carroll's version of events was more likely true than not. In New York, a civil claim of battery may encompass a wide range of unwanted physical contact. In addition to asking whether Trump raped Carroll, the jury was asked to consider whether he sexually abused her or forcibly touched her. Anything from a gentle but unwanted peck on the cheek to stabbing somebody with a knife could be battery for purposes of a civil case like this one. U.S. District Judge Louis A. Kaplan told jurors at the start of the trial. In finding Trump liable for battery, the jury awarded Carroll $2 million in compensatory damages, along with $20,000 in punitive damages. For the defamation claim, the jury awarded her $2.7 million in compensatory damages and an additional $280,000 for punitive damages, finding that Trump had acted maliciously, out of hatred, ill will, spite, or wanton, reckless, or willful disregard of the rights of another, when he accused her of inventing the story. Carroll had described the alleged incident in detail over 3 days on the witness stand. She said their meeting had been a chance encounter, and that the two had recognized each other. According to her, Trump had invited her to help him shop for a gift for another woman. At first, she felt delighted and enchanted to be shopping with Trump, Carroll testified. The two flirted. But when they reached the dressing room, he restrained her and forced his fingers inside of her before pulling down her pants and raping her, she testified. She said she escaped after kneeing him and running away. At the time, She told two friends about the attack, she said. She did not file a police report. Carol had made her claim public in 2019 when she published her memoir, What Do We Need Men For? A Modest Proposal. Trump had repeatedly denied the claims, including calling Carol not my type, and had accused her of making up the story in order to sell more books. After she had gone public, she was fired by Elle Mag. I am here because Donald Trump raped me, and when I wrote about it, he said it didn't happen, Carol said on the stand. He lied and shattered my reputation, and I am here to try to get my life back. At times during her testimony, she grew emotional, her voice shaking. I have regretted this about 100 times, but in the end, being able to get my day in court finally is everything to me. So I'm happy, she said. In the trial's second week, jurors heard from two friends who testified that Carol had told them about the attack shortly after it happened. Carol's lawyers also questioned two other women who had separately accused Trump of sexual assault in an attempt to demonstrate a pattern of predatory behavior. Trump did not testify in his own defense. Mike Ferrara, an attorney representing Carol, seized on that, telling jurors during closing arguments that Trump's lawyers had concluded it would hurt their case if they did, and his defense team called no witnesses. Instead, his lawyers worked to sow doubt in Carol's story. Led by defense attorney Joe Tacopina, they targeted Carol's inability to recall the precise date, or even the year, of the alleged encounter. That made it impossible for Trump to defend himself, he said. Give me a date. November of 1995. November 7. April 3 of 1996. Sure. There are calendars. There are schedules. There are appointments. We could see where he was, Tacopina said during closing arguments Monday. But of course, with no date, month, or year, can't present an alibi. Can't call witnesses. They also questioned why she chose not to contact police after the incident, and why she later described her life as fabulous despite her claimed emotional distress. It was more plausible. Tacopina argued that Carol and her friends had colluded to advance a false story because they hated Donald Trump with a passion. Ultimately, the jury disagreed in a verdict Tacopina called perplexing. They rejected her rape claim, and she'd always claimed this was a rape case, he said, speaking to reporters outside the courthouse. Part of me was obviously very happy that Donald Trump was not branded a rapist. Tacopina repeated Trump's belief that it was not possible for the former president to receive a fair trial in New York City, where he won just 23% of the vote in the 2020 presidential election. The Carol trial was one of a number of legal proceedings involving the former president amid his campaign for the 2024 presidential election. Trump faces criminal charges in New York State over hush money payments made to a porn actress, a civil trial in New York that alleges a decades-long pattern of fraud by Trump and his business, the possibility of charges in Georgia, and a pair of investigations by Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith into Trump's handling of classified documents and his efforts to undo the 2020 election. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it gave you some useful and interesting information about this news. If you want to stay updated on other news from the world, thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time. I invite you to subscribe to my channel, put a nice like on this video, and leave a comment with your opinion or your questions. You'll be doing me a big favor and helping me grow. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time.